Hello everyone, and this is my review for TNA Impact Wrestling on November 5th, 2014, and what can you say, there's a lot of things to actually go about in this one, and some of the good areas, some of the bad area, it is what it is now with wrestling shows. A lot of them have a lot of good stuff in them, but they also are subsequently out there with the bad as well. One of the real bad ones this week was the whole Samuel Shaw promo. He's gone full circle now. He's gone back to being the crazy lunatic that he was beforehand, before getting put in the loony bin after this entire time he's been with Gunner. And basically the bad thing about it was just the promo in general with Shaw and Brittany. It was way over the top, way too cheesy. It was just bad. It did not come off well at all. It didn't even really come off as they were trying to be psychotic in any way or crazy in any way. It was just bad. Bad in general. Obviously they're going to be going with this storyline with Samuel Shaw and Gunner for a little while here, and we'll see where they go with it. Hopefully promos can become a little bit better. I at least liked Gunner's portion of the promo, but other than that, that entire segment was bad. They had the finals towards the number one contendership for the tag team titles with Low Ki and Samoa Joe versus the Hardys. And, overall, this was a really good match. I felt it was very enjoyable and a fun watch. I just wish they would have gone with Samoa Joe and Low Ki here. And that's just mainly on the aspect that the Hardys just kind of got out of this triple threat feud with the Wolves in general. So you would figure something new would have been in order here versus going with one of the old teams in this case. But they decided to go with the Hardys, and we'll see if they decide to put the tag titles on, because obviously they're going with this story with the Wolves where, James Storm is trying to get one of them to go over to his side and everything, and of course the other one's trying to stop him. And we'll see where they're going with that, but I feel like they're going to probably end up putting the tag titles on the Hardys, which I don't... It's not a bad thing, but it's not really necessarily a great thing either. You figure you would want to try to get something new in there, and you never know, maybe they'll... Maybe they'll have a bit where both the Wolves join James Storm or something in that sense, because it's not to the point of the people that they're trying to bring in with the James Storm's revolution and everything in that sense. It's not to that point in the story where people are going to start turning them down, especially when they're showing vignettes or promos of Manic trying to recruit one of their the new guy who coming in from India as well to potentially join James Storm's revolution. So we'll see where they go with that, and hopefully they'll do something interesting. At least in my aspect, I'm just hoping they do something interesting. Another not necessarily good area towards the show was the hardcore tag team match with Tommy Dreamer and Devon versus Bram and Magnus. Obviously, they've been going this storyline where Bram is going against all the hardcore legends, calling himself the king of hardcore now. It's not really time for him to lose one of these matches yet. They have him... Well, they have his team lose the actual hardcore tag team match this week. And like I said, I don't think this is one of those areas where it's time for him to necessarily lose in the storyline. They shouldn't have these legends going over him quite yet. They should have had one more person, maybe like a Bully Ray, coming in to kind of save the day and then stop his reign of terror, or even intensify it at that time. So I don't think it was an okay match. It wasn't necessarily a very good ending towards that match and continuing on with that storyline there. It didn't feel like it was time for him to actually lose one of these matches yet. The match with Havoc and Gail Kim, basically they did exactly what they did a few weeks ago, which was pre-match beatdown, and then obviously continuing on with the match where Havoc works over Gail Kim's shoulder, eventually getting the win. And overall, this the way they portrayed Gail Kim, they portrayed her really well here and really strong, even in a losing effort. And of course, making Havoc look strong in that sense as well by just putting out one of the top knockouts. And overall, the match itself was again pretty good, but it was basically the exact same thing they did a few weeks back, and it wasn't anything really different with that. We'll see where they are, and I think this is where they probably should end their type of feud and then move Havoc on to somebody else here in the very near future. You also had a promo with Rockstar Spud, which eventually did lead to EC3 coming out, and I really like where they're going with this. In this sense, you get the heavy underdog with Rockstar Spud versus EC3, who's been undefeated, at least in the singles area, or he's never been pinned or something. He's kind of like the Rusev in this area. He's lost matches, but he hasn't been pinned or submitted yet in any way, shape, or form. And of course, they have him with Tyrus and everything. So you have that underdog versus overdog type storyline going with that one, and hopefully, Rockstar Spud's a fun, interesting character to watch. He's kind of more of I feel like he could be more of a comedy act, at least at this time, instead of maybe a serious character. They're trying to portray a little bit of serious in there, but still keep him comedic in some way. And I'm kind of hoping that they build this storyline for a little while, get him close to potentially winning, but I don't want him to actually go over. I don't think he's the guy to go over on EC3 and actually win a match against them. So we'll see where they go with it. I've been enjoying it so far. I've enjoyed the EC3 character to begin with. This deal with Rockstar Spud in there, and obviously they're incorporating Eric Young to be kind of like this mentor towards Rockstar Spud, because Eric Young's character has been basically what Rockstar Spud's character is right now. He was taken as a joke, people were bossing him around, everything like that. And then they eventually made him a serious character and made him a world champion. We'll see where they go with Rockstar Spud. Maybe they could put the X Division title on him at some point in time. We'll see where they go. We'll just see where they go with it here in the very near future. And this leads me to the main event of the night, which began at the beginning of the show with MVP Lashley and Kenny King coming out after and interrupting Bobby Roode in his speech and promo after winning the World Heavyweight title. And I really liked where they went with this throughout the night, and it's good to see that MVP's kind of selfishness and everything, being the leader of the group, but just his selfishness in general is kind of backfiring on him in this case, because obviously the storyline would be Bobby Roode just beat Lashley for the title, so you figure Lashley would get the next title shot in his return match, but no, MVP maneuvers his way into coercing Kurt Angle and Bobby Roode to give him the title shot that night. And just the expressions and the facial expressions and the mannerisms of Bobby Lashley throughout the rest of that promo and throughout the night were just great ways of showing tension throughout the entire show between him and MVP, with him of course walking out and not helping MVP in some way, shape, or form for his title match that night, which honestly wasn't a great match. It was a good match. It wasn't anything special, and it was just another way of kind of getting MVP in there and actually having that title match with him and Bobby Roode, and with their past where you had MVP in charge and he suspended Bobby Roode and everything. And it was a good way of putting a little bit of a closure on that one, and then continuing on with the Lashley and Roode area where he comes out and spears Bobby Roode afterwards, and of course continually showing more tension between MVP and Lashley, where Lashley doesn't even bother helping the MVP off. So honestly, I felt like that area of the show, along with that and the EC3 and Rockstar Spud Rockstar Spud storyline, was really good portions of the show. Otherwise, there was, like I said, a couple bad areas in there, at least in my own personal opinion, that were, with good matches, but they kind of done this before type areas. But overall, I would say the show was an okay show this week. It had its ups, it had its downs. It was so it basically is what it is in this case. It wasn't as good as last week's show, and that's just my own personal opinion on that. So that's my review this week for TNA Impact Wrestling, and I thank you guys for watching.